Hello and welcome to Hardcast, where we're back in the Harbinger world, but with a twist. I'm Humphrey Erm.
And I'm Christian Claus.
Lifeline. Give me Imperium Volume 1. Collecting Monsters. Cue Pokemon theme. Alright, Chris. Well, we kind of discussed a little bit about this at the, in the Harbinger Omegas volume.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned there about told you what the next Harbinger would be, which was this. And I remember you were kind of a little lukewarm about it in terms of not really, would you really want to follow Harada?
You're going to have to refresh me what I said there because, you saying follow Harada could mean a lot of things.
Well, if I remember...
Do you mean follow Harada in the sense as a character? Like that he's a person that I would be interested in seeing a story about or what?
Well, no, I think that you're fine with that. But if I remember correctly, it was more along the lines of because you don't... because with the whole Harbinger thing, the issue was everyone sucks in terms of being awful people.
Right.
And now we're just going to follow another awful person even if he's interesting. And we're going to follow an awful person doing awful things.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about the first volume of an awful person doing awful things with all this awful people?
It's awful.
You didn't like it?
Oh, no, I actually didn't like it, no.
Oh,
awful would have been maybe a little bit of an extreme...
Well, I was using the word, so...
Yeah, I was using, yeah. But yeah, I was pretty just meh about it. Started flying through the text near the end of the volume because I just got so bored.
Aw, well, that's a pity.
What,
of course...
you liked it?
Oh, yeah, I love Imperium.
What? Why? What about this do you actually like?
Because it's just so different in terms of, the perspective we're following. Because I was actually thinking when reading through this feels like Doctor Doom as a protagonist done right. Because in Marvel, they've done that a lot. Because everyone loves Doctor Doom because he's just such a badass and just so crazy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, they always think, well, people love him as a villain. Why not as a protagonist, in his own book? But that rarely, if ever, works because, sure, it's fun having a villain be an awful person, but following them, because either you follow a person doing terrible things and you can't really root for that.
Right.
Or you kind of undermine the idea of them being a villain by having them, defeat an even worse villain. Which, in that case, still makes him a hero. But this, to me, reading through, it just... just the beginning part. Because it was a little while since I read it. So I wasn't sure in the beginning here if it was is this an actual, flash forward? Until then, oh, no, it's a vision of a potential future made by Harada. But it was just so cool seeing this and the idea that this is his, perfect future. And despite him being incredibly narcissistic, he has this... There's this fake humility. You remember last time I told you I don't think I've ever seen someone look so smug while he washed someone's feet.
Oh shit, that's what that was?
Yeah, the opening?
Oh, I didn't realize that the opening was just a figment of someone's imagination.
Well, it's not imagination, it's a vision that Harada was presenting them.
Yeah, I did not realize that.
Oh,
I thought that was, him just telling his story.
Well, it was him telling his story, but I guess it is a bit weird, but I myself couldn't remember it either. But then it's kind of made clear at the, on page 14. Again, it's one of those things where it's a psychic image, but it's not...
but still, I don't know. I didn't make that connection at all. I thought it was literally because he was all introspective during the opening. That made me just feel like he was thinking back to a time when he met Harada for the first time. Because no one ever says, there's no indication that he's like that there's a vision being implanted into him. It just says that, but somehow I feel as if the ship is actually carrying me backwards instead of forwards to an uncertain pass. What's happening to me? Am I changing or am I just waking up? That's so cryptic and mysterious that it could mean multiple millions of things. So I don't know. I did not feel like that was clear at all. Like at all. Also, Harada looks like Bloodshot in that.
On that page or the previous one?
Yeah, I literally thought that was Bloodshot, an old Bloodshot. Like I didn't realize that we moved in time until like, I mean, obviously you know how I always like scan the page before I start reading.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the now thing, and then I just saw this white-skinned old dude, and I was like, oh, that's probably then an older version of Bloodshot in this time. But then I guess that was just Harada.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I can understand that. And I'll agree with that it is, I think in a sense it's, not that it's supposed to be purposefully confusing. I mean, no one ever wants something to be purposefully
confusing.
But, yeah, no one wants anything to be on purpose.
Yeah.
All great works of art are accidental. No, but I think that's the whole thing whenever it's like a psychic thing like this, because it's one thing about showing like a simulation, you know, or a model, but in this case, he's actually making it an experience. So, in a way, I guess you could say it's a brainwash of sorts, but not entirely. Like, no, I'm just showing you how it could be, you know, how it should be, but by making it actually be an experience, I think it would definitely color your judgment rather than looking at it objectively.
Right.
Like, instead of thinking like, well, what were the costs of creating this utopia? But because you're already kind of experiencing it as, yes, this was a good idea, they'll go with him on it. Thus kind of taking away the whole idea of a free will, as well as Harada in, you know, being hypocritical as per usual.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure like what time this was set in, because again, Harada looks so much older. I just remember, again, I guess I must have still been in that whole idea that this was in the future. And I was thinking like when it said northern Syria and then they're fighting, I'm like, so the Syrian war is going to take that long, huh?
Yep.
And just, I mean, Harada looks so old, and I don't know why he's so white. I don't like it's not like he's like Caucasian looking.
No, I know, but the pale. He's very pale.
He's literally white. Like
I think it's a lighting thing.
Yeah, well.
So, and as we've always discussed, it's always tricky with different artists.
Yeah.
I guess this guy, I mean, it could be something. I mean, remember the whole thing with him like looking old and then kind of getting back his young form. So maybe the artist here wanted to kind of have it be like maybe straining it more or something.
Yeah.
Or yes, more detailed than Clayton Henry, who kind of goes for a more like, you know, that more comic booky style. So he doesn't want to have too many lines in the face because then it looks even older.
Oh God, I just went to page 22. I mean, if we're already talking a little bit about the artist, the subtle adding of the explosion behind Harada's head in the second panel on page 22. I mean, just
I am Jesus. I am Jesus.
It's so wow. Just wow.
So,
just wow.
But one little thing I want to mention too before, as when we were on those first pages here. Again, I just love this with Harada, this whole savior complex. What you have seen and felt is the promise of the greatest precognitive science in human history. And it's just a downright lie. You know, having the bleeding monk just going on like, your time is done, Harada. There's no more good you can do. You must leave the world stage. It's just, I love it because it's just, I mean, again, you know, I mean, I would be skeptical too about the bleeding monk, you know, even though he's, you know, like super old and wise, doesn't mean that he doesn't have ulterior motives or whatever.
Right.
But it's just the fact that, no, I am the savior of the world. I don't care what magical monk person says, you know, I'm going to make the world a better place. Like that Futurama quote, I say the rest of the world shall learn of our peaceful ways by force.
Right.
And that to me is really what I love about this whole series, this whole Imperium. It's just such an interesting team, like just an interesting team setup with a very interesting goal. And also, as I mentioned before, with the whole, when the Harbinger leak happened, and the whole thing like, oh crap, we can't do it in secret anymore. The fact that Somalia isn't Somalia anymore in that sense, for me, that's just like, that's a cool, exciting thing to have in a comic. Because this wasn't like quickly beaten at the end of Harbinger Omegas, as I was saying about what I loved about that. It's like, nope, the hero of Harbinger, leaves Earth, and the villain is taking over the portions of Africa.
Yep.
It's like, wow, awesome. Tell me more.
Well, I gotta say, yeah, the premise of the whole thing is interesting if you kind of like that kind of part of it. If you want to read that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I just feel, I mean, for my personal sake, I don't enjoy these kind of comics. But I gotta say about this specific volume, it was just too dry. Like, I mean, not to say that I need action all the time, but I just feel like they were just talking so much about stuff that I didn't care about. And I don't know if it was just, if I would have like, I don't know if I would have like pulled through and like started to like actually like read it properly and how do you say, like really get into it, then maybe I could have gotten interested by it. But I don't know. I just, at the point when all the stuff came, like the whole vine creature that was being built or made by Harada, and the mechanized guy who wants to have a soul or whatever, and everyone's just not giving a shit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I was constantly waiting for someone to use his name correctly. Like that, say, calling him Sunshine on the Snow or something like that, whatever.
Yeah, Sunshine on Snow.
Yeah. And because that's what you would do in a traditional comic. You would have all these idiots, assholes, always call him Mecha Major or whatever it was. And then you'd have the one cool guy who's kind of nice or whatever that actually used his name, like, in a way that, he just who saved his life or whatever. And then it would be like, thanks, Sunshine on the Snow, that kind of thing, while he's walking away, all cool and everything. And I was kind of waiting for that the entire time. And no, this is a villain book. This is this is not an issue or issues that have the best of characters in them. But still, I just felt like there should be a little bit of humanity here. And again, I guess that's what makes Harada who he is, that he is just this stone cold boss bitch kind of guy, And yeah, it's just not something that I enjoy. And I don't know. Yeah, just no.
No, but that's fair. I mean, I can definitely imagine so as well. Because, it's not... Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, that's the thing whenever they've done like a Doctor Doom book. It's hard to follow people who are supposed to be evil, regardless of how they see themselves. And, be engaged by what they're doing, like, oh, I hope they do the right thing. Or not that, but I hope they succeed, because you don't really want them to. But you are following them, so it's kind of tricky.
Well, I don't know. I mean, in some sense, like they could have like their perspective on it, like maybe go a little bit more on the whole thing. I mean, didn't they do that for a while in DC, that they had like these villain months, where the villains took over the books or the issue for just one issue?
Yeah, well, they did it once at least. I remember they did that when I was in Toronto.
Right.
So
all
the logos had like been ripped off like on the image, and it said
right. And then they put like the Joker wrote like Joker over the Batman or the Dark Knight or
Exactly.
Detective Comics or whatever. Yeah. So I mean, I think something like that could be fine, because everyone loves the villain. Everyone loves the villain songs in Disney movies, and you kind of like you love to hate the villain, and so I feel like for like one issue you can totally pull that off. You can be like, okay, here's your villain, have fun with him for one issue, but then we're going to go back to the guy that you can root for. Not to say that there aren't still people who are like, well, the Joker is kind of cool, or you could be like, oh well, whatever, here Harada, man, he has this kind of weird thought about how the world should work, and I don't know if he's right, but it sounds pretty cool, like maybe he could do it. But I don't want to follow him. I don't want to see him kill everyone and just not blink at it. I mean, I feel like if we want to follow him, we should see some sort of humanity in him, and just see that he can what's it called, like he has some sort of thing about him that he doesn't want to just kill everyone, that it's like methodical and thought out. I mean, the way that he just like talks to Mecha Major when he tries to scold that one Harbinger soldier for killing an ally or for killing an innocent, that was just like, at that point I was just like, all right, I'm going to check out, because this guy's a douche. Like there's nothing redeeming about him. There's no reason why I should be rooting for him. There's no reason why I give a crap what he's doing. I mean, yeah, it would be interesting if then, I'm watching, even Peter Stanchek, actually, not Sanchek, Stanchek. I kept on saying Sanchek because when I did that little, Valiant quiz thing, I kept on writing Peter Sanchek. And I didn't know why it wasn't accepting my answer. And then I had to actually look it up, and it was Stanchek. Anyway. So I would much rather see Peter, who I also do not like, but he does have some redeeming qualities, fight against Harada and then suddenly be surprised by this interesting vine creature that Harada has, built and grown, and see Peter have to fight with him, then going through all the the background of how Harada built him, why he spliced out this DNA that connects him to the vines, the hive mind of the vines. I don't give a shit about that, because I don't give a shit about him. Like I don't want to spend time with him. So the half hour it took me to read this volume was just like, it's like spending time with the guy you hate, some guy that bullied you at school, and you have to sit down because your parents are friends, and you have to like spend some time together while your parents talk or some shit like that. And it's just like, I don't care what you say. I mean, you got the new Nintendo game? I don't care. Like, it could be my favorite Nintendo game, but I don't care because you have it. I hate it now because you have it. That's how I feel reading this book. It's just like, I hate you, Harada, and I hate you for being in this comic. So, and I hate you for being, mean to Sunshine on the Snow.
So I mean, again, this is interesting though. I mean, I love this kind of stuff. I like hearing in that sense. So, but I don't know. I mean, I said my spiel already, so it's not too much there. So how about we discuss the new things? I mean, you've already mentioned Sunlight on Snow, or Mech Major, depending on how you feel about him.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about him then, like as a new character? Because I don't think he's been like foreshadowed at all.
Mech Major. Yeah, I mean, he's the typical. I mean, it's very typical his character. He's the robot who's gotten sentience or an artificial intelligence, and of course starts questioning everything, and he has his moralities and stuff like that. And he's like a little baby who can actually speak. It's the typical like, but why, father? Why can't I do this?
Oh, really?
Like, because you were built to do this. But why, father? It doesn't make sense. That kind of stuff.
I think we read him very differently, you and me.
What?
Well, for me, he's self-aware. Yes, we definitely agree there.
Yeah.
But to me, he's just much more of an independent, what's called snippy robot.
He's not independent. He's still doing everything
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he's being told to
yeah,
do.
but he has his like, what's called. That's what I find a bit more interesting with him. He has like his own. He has opinions, beliefs, a value system. That's his.
Yeah,
All
that's
his
what I
own.
mean. That's what I mean with it. Like he keeps asking why he has to do stuff.
Yeah, but not in the way you said it. There, it felt much more naive.
Well, he is kind of naive because honestly, if he would be, a soldier like everyone else is, or like if he would be what he was built for, then he wouldn't be asking these questions. He wouldn't be defiant like this. He would be doing what he's told and being like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to be just like my father, or like Harada.
So yeah, but that's what I mean. Though it's more interesting. I mean, he goes to what's called Ingrid for what's called like therapeutic counseling,
Right.
and I just love the way he talks there because it's just what's it called. I am not a thing. I am the world's first fully self-activated artificial intelligence. So you let me down, Ingrid. I came here for a genuine discussion about my condition, but I'm beginning to think you're an anti-alternative sentience bigot.
Yep.
Like I just love that line. It's just like I don't know. I guess the idea would be he's not so passive. Like he's not so like, all right, I'll do whatever. It's more of a
Right.
like, so oh, you guys are assholes. I mean, I'm doing what you're saying because I'm a robot and you control me, but fuck you guys. And I find that much more interesting with him. It's just, oh, I love him. He's like the best addition to this whole series.
Yeah. I don't know if he's more like, fuck you guys. I think he's more just because he's never like openly defiant. He does voice his concerns. I mean, not even like that much, but I mean, he like when he has to shoot the creature, the divine creature, he does not resist, or I'm looking for a word. I don't even know what it is in English. Tsugan. Oh God, what is it?
Doubt?
Yeah, he has no doubt, or he's not any what's it called when you like,
Hesitation?
right. He doesn't hesitate at all to start shooting at this vine. Someone he talked to and confided in. You know what I mean? Like, he was talking to him since he was a little baby, and telling him his feelings and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, as Harada, plainly explained that you'd have to do that at a different wavelength or expel carbon dioxide or something like that for it to actually like do anything to a plant. But seriously, it's like typically it's just like use your ballistics, don't worry, you can't kill it. I mean, sure, there's a why don't you mind control it, but as soon as like nope, not an option, he just goes without even like any hesitation. It's just like, all right, damn it, Harada, and he shoots him. He just says like, I hate shooting things while he's shooting things.
Yeah, but to me, that's what makes it work. Like, the way I kind of see him is if you were to have, like, a sassy, passive-aggressive operating system. So, you're writing something and kind of like, yeah, and he's just going like, oh, you're going to save now? You haven't saved in the last few hours. Why bother saving now? You seem to be liking to living dangerously.
Yeah, but he doesn't come across as sassy to me. He just comes across as like he comes across as Lenny, like from Mice and Men. Like a big dumb brute, but he's not dumb. That's the problem. Like he has this one person who basically orders him around. Obviously Harada's using him, but it's just one of those things where it's just like, okay, he is being used. He knows he's being used because he's talking about his problems. He has problems. He is thinking about his problems, but he doesn't act on it.
Yeah, but
and that just makes him feel like he's just a subservient person who is talking too much, and not in a sassy way, because it's not fun listening to him talk. He's not.
I
he's not
love all
being,
his dialogue.
but he's not being funny.
I find it funny.
No, you're an idiot then. No, I'm joking. No, but it's just like his dialogue did. I mean, I think his dialogue to you is only funny because it's out of the normal context of that kind of dialogue. So I think the context here is making it funny to you. If we would switch out his character for a normal human, he would be a boring character because these are the emotions that you would expect from a human. But I think because you know it's a robot, because you know it's a sentient artificial intelligence, that's what's making it funny for you, because it's like, oh look, he's trying to be human.
I don't know about that. I mean, because again, I was mentioning you were mentioning him about not like resisting or like just doing whatever Harada wants all the time, and that's true. But like on page 11 of volume 3. So I mean, after he's like talking to the vine sapling, he goes through all the stuff there. So like he's going on about like, well, the previous page he goes and says like, removal of the shackle will shut down my core, wipe my helium drives, and melt the a little hard to read it. The tiny amount of synfo whatever. And then the next page, of course, the odds that Harada doesn't have a backup of me somewhere are oh man, I can't read today. Are astronomically low, with Harada coming in behind them. Morning,
Right.
Mech Major. I know you know I'm here and I can hear you. Like for me, it's more of this like open defiance, which I find always interesting because it's something interesting when you have a subservient character who, like, yes, he is subservient. He does exactly what their masters tells them to, but will snark, will protest in certain ways.
Yeah, because he knows that they need him.
Yeah, but I don't know. I find him very fascinating and fun. Like I said, it's my favorite addition to the Valiant universe right now, like in this new series. All right. I mean, I think we both made our cases for our little robot buddy. So, since we were kind of talking about him a little bit as well, I mean, we didn't get too much about him, but thoughts on the idea of the like Vine Lord or Lord Vine 99?
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be a weapon, right?
Yeah, some kind of like bio weapon or however you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, typical kind of thing. I mean, I literally just saw this last night on Star Trek, so.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that episode. All right.
Oh, you haven't seen that episode? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I spoil something for you?
So yeah, but I love you anyways, Chris.
Yeah, not like he spoiled a death for me on the new Star Trek series.
Now you're
before I even
spoiling
started
everyone
watching.
else, apparently.
Huh?
And now you're spoiling everyone else, apparently.
No, because I didn't say who died. I just said a death.
Yeah, but now people will be looking for a death somewhere.
What? You're stupid. Yeah, so there's a creature like this in the new Star Trek episode 3 of Star Trek Discovery, and so it's just a typical kind of thing. Like, yeah, you make your biological monster, and then it goes out of control and kills the creator, and it's just like, but I created you, and then of course the creature doesn't care, so that's how that works.
Yeah, but except here it's like pretty quickly is
Subdued.
yeah.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, it's the typical thing. Like, it's not. I mean, it immediately rebelled. It's not ever going to be like, oh, you created me in a world of pain, and now I'm going to love you as a father because that's what you are to me. It's like, no, they get out, they're going to kill you or try to kill you at least. That's how it works. That's why I never play with biological matter, kids.
All right. But then what about our other new character, Grave Dog?
Ah, what a dick.
Yeah, I'll have to agree there.
I mean, I was coming in here like, oh, cool, the hardcast, or sorry, the hardcore people are back. You know, like, oh yeah, these are the cool guys, and then they just horrible, horrible people. Like, what was his name? Pig Killer.
Bone,
Like,
Soprano, Pig Killer, and Grave Dog.
yeah, what just beautiful names, a name only a mother could love. You know, it's just Jesus. Yeah, and these people were just dicks, especially the main guy, Grave Dog, just a capital cunt. Just see, I just I did not like this comment because I can't look anywhere without seeing some absolute douchebag, and it's just annoying. You just want to like, I just want to grab onto someone. I mean, I'd probably like grab onto one of the Syrian soldiers just because he's probably fighting for something that he believes is good.
Well, everyone believes they're doing good.
Yeah. I doubt Grave Dog believed he was doing something good when he shot his teammates.
Oh, but he did. I mean, as we saw him then when he was captured by Harada. So he mentioning that he thought that the Harada was right.
Yeah.
So before being sent back. So bags packed.
No.
But yeah, he's not. I mean, it's they at least gave him a backstory that kind of, in a sense, would explain his like personality and behavior, as well as also an explanation for why hardcore would get him. Because I mean, that seems to be like a big thing with hardcore. You get like broken people who agree to it.
Yeah.
So I feel in that sense he fits the bill perfectly. As he said, like it was either Guantanamo or this.
At least at hardcore, you don't have to eat a cock meat sandwich.
Good movie. Good movie.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
So it's what's called Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. It's not a dirty movie.
So for any of you kids listening, don't go watch that movie yet until you're 18 and know about pot, sex, and what George Bush did. Yeah, he's in that movie, isn't he?
Well, someone with a very weird prosthetic face.
Yeah. Oh man, I gotta watch that movie again. Anyway, so this comic made me miss Quantum and Woody, and that's saying something.
Oh, how so? Oh, in terms of like awful people?
Well, just like, you know, wanting to read, because Quantum and Woody has always been kind of like one of my lowest. Like when I see that on the list as coming next, I'm always like give off an audible groan. I mean, I would give off an audible groan when we start reading Harbinger, but not as bad. And now Imperium is now the biggest groan. Oh yeah. So I mean, because at least, you know, Quantum and Woody, they're good people. I mean, they're idiots, but they're good people. But these, they're smart and so evil. It's just not fun hanging around with them. I mean, because you spend time with them, you know. It's like, that's why we get attached to characters, right? You know, because you like spending time with them. I mean, my girlfriend and I are watching Friends right now, and it's great because she's never seen it before. So I get to watch her watch Friends for the first time, and it is great because she doesn't know anything about what happens at the end. She doesn't know who gets together with whom. She did not know that Ross and Rachel were going to get together. Like, all of this stuff was just like,
spoilers.
You know, she doesn't listen to this podcast. Do you think she listens to this podcast?
And all the other viewers who really want to watch Friends but never watched it when it was the biggest show on television.
Right. But you know, like we like it because we like spending time with those characters, you know, except for Ross, because Ross is a dick. But it's just one of those things where Harada is not a guy I want to hang out with. And it just feels shitty going back to these comics or to watch, like, read now Imperium or open up the next, issue or whatever, and just kind of like, oh, okay, here we go again. Let's see what other shit he gets down to this time. I mean, at least like we said before, I mean, with something like Archer, the TV series, these are all really horrible people, but it's fun because they're just funny while they're being horrible.
Well,
I would not want to hang out with any of them, but it's fun to watch them from afar.
well, it's also the thing that I've mentioned, which I think is the thing that makes like stupid or obnoxious characters bearable, is that they are correct with a lot of things. It's like it's one thing having just people who are wrong all the time,
Yeah.
but I mean, Archer gets a few nuggets of wisdom here and there and observations about people's faults and stuff.
Yeah,
So you're
definitely.
kind of like, man, of course it's the, awful sexist drunk who's correct about this. But, yeah, no, I get you. So it's
But again, there's no redeeming qualities in this guy. I mean, in Harada. And we've said this so many times. I mean, even the fact that he wants to save the world is not a redeeming factor in him, because he does not want to rule the world to be nice. He wants to rule the world so that he can control it. And yes, that makes him an interesting character. Actually, scratch that. That makes him an interesting villain. It's just like with Watchmen.
yeah,
The guy
Ozymandias.
also,
Yeah, Ozymandias.
yes, he also wanted to change the world for the better, but in a bad way. And it makes sense. It's like, yes, okay, we get it. And you could feel that he was not motivated by greed. Like, he didn't want to do it for himself. He wanted to do it for the good of humanity. Harada's not like that. If he really wanted to do this for the good of humanity, he wouldn't, do certain things. He wouldn't feel so God complexy. He would actually do this all in a very, very different way. He's just a dick, Humphrey. How can you like this?
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, it's what I've discussed about many things, and especially with Valiant in particular. It's just interesting seeing things, well, from a different perspective. Like, because for me, it's kind of like the thing I told you about, which made me interested in The Man in the High Castle. Because I don't want it to be this whole idea where, no, now we're gonna fix it so it's, conforms to our history. Which, of course, that's how I want, I prefer our version of history. But I just find it interesting when you're in a scenario where, nope, we just have to accept these are the breaks, and this is the story told with this current status quo.
Right.
And to me, that's what makes it so interesting. I mean, the only thing for me that, well, quote unquote, bothered me about this volume is just the fact that we haven't really heard anything about this in any other volume. Like, this feels like a huge thing going on. And I don't know, I'm trying to think if it were to happen in real life, like, even assuming it's not, like, superpowers and all that. But whatever, some independent party has taken over a portion of Africa and they have nukes and whatever, so that's why we can't just go in and take them. Like, the global ramifications of that, like, wow, how do we deal with this? And the whole idea of them actually then wanting to make like a utopia, and let's say they're like succeeding with it in that sense, like they are building this hospital and people are invited in.
Dude, do you realize that we are currently living under a possible nuclear threat at all times, right?
So, yeah, no, I know, but I don't know. It's still too unreal for me. Like, I know the possibility's there, but I don't know. Like, it doesn't, like, feel real to me. Like, it's like, yeah, I know it's possible, but so many things are possible.
You do know the actual, North Korea thing, right?
Yeah, I know.
And not just the general nuclear death that's been hanging above us for the last, 30 years or whatever.
Yeah, no, I know, but North Korea and and the States and, well, everything involved.
Yeah, because, the way that you were saying that is like, also, how about all the battles going on in Syria? Do you know about all of them?
Oh yeah, I know, but again, even then, it's what's called. The idea there is it's more like conventional. I feel in terms of how things happen in the world. The idea here is that because I feel like
Yeah,
if any person like doing even when they're doing it for good, like if they're saying like they're doing it for good, it still doesn't have quite. I don't know. It still follows the template of most kind of like invasions and what's called warfare in some form or other. But here it just feels so. It's so smug and so self-righteous with Harada that I just find it so fascinating to read.
yeah, but you were saying that why haven't we seen it in other comics or any kind of ramifications of this? Is because it's the same way as it is here. I mean, you're saying that this is something special because I guess psyops and stuff like that. But honestly, for the world of Valiant, it might be normal. I mean, this is just normal now. I mean, you can see them. They have an anti-psyot weapon. That you can't normalize anything more than having an anti-something weapon. I mean, you had airplanes for the longest time, and then they developed anti-aircraft weapons, and then suddenly, airplanes weren't the cool in thing anymore because they could also get shot down. And then you had submarines, and then the other people had submarines, and suddenly submarines weren't that cool because they can also get shot down and killed. You see what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with psyops. I mean, psyops in war is not a weird thing because now they're vulnerable as well. So I feel like this kind of battle that you're seeing here with, Syria or whatever, that's probably just the news. It's just the thing that slips into the news when they haven't gotten enough gunshots in America to fill out the full half hour that they need to fill. It's like, oh, by the way, there was another shot, in new Harada news. He attacked another village in Syria, killing everyone. Now on to the weather.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So and we discussed
And I
that
mean,
as well last time about how it was probably very strategic the location that Joshua Desart chose for it to happen. Because he has the whole, well, Somalia. I mean, we only care when all the poor people there attack, cruise ships.
right.
So that's the whole thing there, which makes makes sense for him in that sense. Like there won't be too much initial resistance when he overpowers them immediately. But I don't know. I just find this very interesting. Like this really feels like an interesting sort of like sci-fi political drama thing. So with cool characters with powers and stuff, and it ticks a lot of my boxes. So, but speaking of other characters as well, I was gonna mention this, but then we go into this whole thing as well. The last new like named character, Angela.
Oh yeah.
What do you think of her or it, depending now on?
Yeah, I kind of thought it was going to be like from the cover. I thought it was going to be Mary Ann, Maria Mary.
Oh, and Mary Maria from
Mary
Archer and
Maria, that's
Armstrong.
one. Yeah. Because of the outfit, kind of it looked like the nun outfit that she wears.
That'd be interesting, getting Archer and Armstrong involved.
But yeah, no, it's weird. I mean, it feels like typically like with the thing where she like took the brain out, or was like taking the brain out. It's just like so typical like this. Like very logical, very robotic kind of response. It's like, well, you wanted me to do this thing, right? It's like, yeah. Well, I need a brain for this, so I'm going to take a brain. It's like, but you can't just take a brain. Why not? Why can't I take a brain? You said I should do this. It just felt like, yeah, it's okay. Just weird, very typical alien kind of talk. And kind of weird that the whole eye thing goes away. I mean, I guess it kind of is a nice way of symbolizing it because, you know, her, like, you know, they say that the eyes are the gateway to the soul. And, you know, if someone else is in there, then yeah, the eyes could just disappear. That's actually kind of cool. Like a cool little idea.
Well, it also helps visually, as we always point out, you know, with different artists and stuff. So now it's a clear thing there when we see, like, oh, okay, that's Angela.
Right. I mean, yeah.
But I also like the details, like, given through text as well, as they point out that it's not that they've been plucked out in that sense. It's like they've never existed. You know, it's just like skin covering up.
Right.
The only evidence of eyes ever having been there is the
shape
skull.
Of her skull. Yeah.
So which again is like, again, you know, it's just some extra text to further illustrate what we are seeing, but it's just like, that's so trippy.
But I just love the fact that, like, when she explains, like, the guy is like, the guy's like all angry, or not angry at her, but just like angry that, you know, of the situation. And then I just love that, like, as soon as she explains, like, oh, I just need the brain for my little project here, he's like, okay, good, see that, problem solved, lower your weapons, please. It's just like,
well,
okay,
it's Kosal. I mean, you remember him.
Yeah, of course.
And I love him.
I also love how, like, suddenly Gravedog is all like, I don't know,
all moral high ground.
Yeah, all moral high ground. Like, are you insane? We can't just have someone murdering people.
Well, there's a difference between blowing up a bus and, you know, like keeping someone alive while you cut open their brain.
Is he alive? I'm pretty sure that he would have died of shock.
No. I think she says it too.
No. That was only the spinal cord when she stuck the thing into his spine.
Extracting the human brain without killing is an involved process. And yeah, that's.
I mean, again, I doubt anyone under, like, without any kind of like anesthetic or whatever could survive their head being like sawed off. If you felt a saw cutting your skull and then taking your head actually off and someone poking around in your brain, I'm pretty sure you would go into some sort of shock and die.
Yeah, but I'm assuming, because again, that this is what I find, and again, I love this volume.
But then again, she did kind of stun him, didn't she, with the whole spinal anaplegic, analgesic, whatever.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, spinal analgesic. That's true.
Yeah, so I guess he's still alive. That's cool.
But for me, it's more about because it's, again, the only thing I didn't quite understand was the whole thing with them, like, going to this different dimension. It kind of felt like, okay, guess we're going to a different dimension now. But I just like the idea of this other dimensional scientist taking over her body and coming to another dimension, and just fascinating.
Right.
And yes, we have to assume that that this entity has knowledge and of science way more advanced than us.
Mm-hmm.
And just the idea that you've so quickly figured out kind of sort of like how their surroundings work. And then still kind of like, oh, fascinating. It's like, that's like even, or it even, whatever, even suggests to Kosal, what do you say? Question: would you be willing to impregnate the Angela vessel? Carrying a human infant to term would yield fascinating data. It just, it's like, again, it really is that whole idea, that philosophical idea of, what is the self? Because a lot of people tend to look at it as like sort of the brain driving the body.
Yeah. And
here it literally is that, since it's another entity inside of her that's just like driving her around. And just with no care at all. Like, it's like if you've captured like an animal and just have dissected it and, ooh, this is very interesting. And again, this is to me like the whole title of the volume as well, Collecting Monsters. It's just literal kinds in many different ways. And I think it's a really fun way of introducing a bunch of new characters for a new status quo. And I genuinely want to know more about each and every one.
I just think they're horrible people, and I don't want to see them again.
But I want to see how much more horrible they can be.
Great. I can't wait for Gilad and friends to kill them all.
So, well, we'll see.
Or am I going to have to wait for Rai for them to get killed?
Well, let's see. None of these characters have been mentioned in Rai.
Well, it was more of a joke seeing that it's going to take so long until we... Okay.
Like that, yeah. Right. Well, we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, no, that's as usual. Went through most of the questions. I mean, the artist we've had before, and the writer's the same as Harbinger. It's like, yes, the direct continuation of everything.
Yeah. Man, I can't believe you like this one.
Well, again, I think this helps the podcast be more interesting. I mean, if it's just, I agree, yes, me too, or I hated it, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
But again, I just found it, yeah, it's very, very fun. Like I'm not sure, I mean, I like the Harbinger as well, but I feel this is a nice way of not just doing it like, well, like how like Marvel does it a lot with all their new number ones. So like I think like with Captain Marvel and Squirrel Girl, they've had like 2 or 3 number ones per year for them, because they're like constantly rebooting it.
Oh, God.
And because they know that number ones sell more, they kind of like, oh crap, okay, sales are down again, and we're at 8 issues. New number one. But it's still the same thing. It's not like they've rebooted the concept or changed anything.
Oh, man, they're going to run out of words to add after, after the name.
I mean, like the spectacular...
Yeah, like Spectacular Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, or Bloodshot Reborn, or Ultimate Bloodshot, or Crazy Bloodshot, or I don't know what else.
Well, without spoiling, they have like the whole... they have, as you said, the Bloodshot Reborn, so Bloodshot USA, what's called Bloodshot...
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, sounds fun or silly?
Oh, it's going to be so stupid.
And the new stuff that I've been seeing on Twitter that I haven't checked out yet, Bloodshot Salvation.
Yeah, I've seeing that too, yeah.
So, but I'm not sure. It's one of those things where I'm unsure if it's like... I don't know, it's like tricky in terms of... is this like the same... Obviously, it's all the same continuity. It's a shared universe and that, but... I mean, I'm unsure myself a little bit with some of them, like... is this like a new series? Like, can I call this like Bloodshot Volume 12? Or is this Bloodshot Reborn? But is Bloodshot Salvation part of Reborn? Or
I think they should just go with seasons. Quite simply, just take a leaf out of the TV show's book and just be like, all right, now we're all going to talk about Bloodshot Harbinger Wars. I don't know, something like that. So this is going to be Bloodshot leading up to the Harbinger Wars and whatever he does in this time. All right, so now Harbinger Wars, the big crossover has happened and everyone's fine, everyone's dead, whatever. Now we start with volume 1 or like issue 1 of Bloodshot, whatever, Vine War.
Ooh,
I don't know.
I want to read that.
Right. And so you know what I mean? So then you can have like your 8 to 10 or 12 issues or whatever of that season, and then you can switch over to another number 1 again without having to be, because then I think it also makes sense for like a reader, because I'm like, wait, so should I read now Ultimate Spider-Man or Spectacular Spider-Man or just Spider-Man? It just doesn't make sense, because then if you look at like, okay, so here are the seasons. So if I get season whatever Vine Wars, then I could just take 1 to 8 from Vine Wars, and then I've got a complete story here. That's great. You don't have to worry about like, okay, now we're back to number 1, and now we're doing this. It's just ridiculous. And you still get your number 1s, which have a bigger sales, whatever. And then you have more jumping on points. Wouldn't that be awesome if like Like, think about it. Like, you have a continuity where there's Bloodshot Reborn Volume 1 that's in the same universe and same continuity as Eternal Warrior issue 18. I mean, how confusing is that? I mean, that's why people don't get into comics, because it's just so confusing. I mean, I don't want to go, I don't want to like get a list of comics I need to buy so I can read them all in order, which is what we're doing here.
And even then, we're not like, I'm not sure what order is better at some points. So I'll go through our list a bit and see if maybe there's a better order, like phonetically.
Yeah.
So, because even if one came out before the other, like publishing wise, it might feel better reading another one. I don't know.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's just one of those things where, well, whatever. I mean, who am I to say? I'm sitting here alone in my office, talking into a microphone, staring at a TV screen, dreading going to work tomorrow.
Yeah, but that's, I think you're the most qualified to tell these big businesses how to deal with, well, their business.
Of course, because I'm their most important person, the customer.
Well, honestly, since I showed you those sales of Valiant, I don't think they can do much worse. No offense, Valiant. I mean, just the numbers.
Yeah, true.
So, I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna get that up to date too. I'm just really curious. Like it's kind of a weird. I think I might put this maybe on both the hardcast subreddit and the Valiant one. Like once I'm done with it. So, but I've just been like checking out the sales per month for each Valiant series, and just made like a graph out of it on Google Sheets. And I'm surprised how low the numbers are. Like I knew they were low.
It was very surprising, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were low because, as I've always said, American comics, like the floppies especially, they don't sell well in the States. When like a good comic would be like around 50,000, as like okay, yeah, that's fine. And then having so many of them, be lucky if they can consistently be at 10,000, with a lot of them dipping down below, which makes me think, okay, is this how many actual Valiant fans there are then? Like kind of hovering around 10,000 depending on the series.
Yeah.
So they better come out with those movies soon.
Well, here's hoping that they kind of push the Valiant brand, so to speak.
So yeah, but honestly, as much as I'd love to see, movie versions of all this just for the like spectacle of it. So I kind of would like it if they could kind of just keep it like running, like it makes enough money to keep it going, and just have it be its little thing that has its fans.
Oh, so you don't want it to be too big? You don't want them to sell out? Is that what it is?
I mean, I don't mind if they do, but I guess I would just hate for them to finally go like, you know what, this sucks. we just bought this property because we tried to sell like contracts to Hollywood. Wanted to like sell movie deals. So, but after since 2012, so 5 years. Damn, congratulations, Valiant, 5 years.
Ah.
But yeah, like 5 years of this and like still no movie or anything. So like, crap. No, guys, screw it.
Well, I mean, they can't be too expensive if they only get around 10,000 copies sold a month. So maybe we'll just buy it. Who knows?
And of course, then there's always the coveted digital sales, which Comixology never reveals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always annoying with that because I'm genuinely curious sometimes. Because they say that a lot of comics, especially like in DC and Marvel, that they make up for it in digital sales, which we never get to see.
No, you gotta believe us, dude. We make up for it in digital sales. Everyone's digital now. Just believe us. Believe us.
Would that be a website or app idea? Like, or would that be illegal? I don't know. It probably wouldn't work as it would have to be voluntary. But basically, you can whenever you like buy something, then like on Comixology, you can write it down like hook up your account to this app, and then from there we get like sales numbers, because then we know that okay, this many people that have the app have bought it, so at least we have these numbers that confirm.
I mean, I don't think that would be illegal, but I mean,
Who would want to?
who would want it? Who would go through all of that to be like, all right, now I bought a comic. Now let me go quickly to this other app that's probably has some ads on it so that they can make money, and just log this in.
I guess.
All right, great.
I guess the best way to do it would be to make it kind of like that one website, the My Anime List or whatever, that people use to keep track of what they've watched.
Oh yeah.
So if you could do it like that and sell it as more of an organizational thing, and then you make it sound like a feature that you don't have to write it yourself. Like, just hook up your Comixology account, and it'll figure it out based on your purchases.
Ah, smart.
So from there, and then that way we know it's not just people saying that they did buy it, and it doesn't even matter if they read it or not.
Oh man, would you really go through all that trouble just to find out?
Go through all of this stuff. Yes, I wanna know the numbers. I learned to code just for this.
Yeah.
I marketed this. It's out of my own pocket.
I earned $1 million just for this. And I still didn't get concise numbers. They're still lying to us. I mean, I guess they're just also like I mean, they're probably also just doing like playing on Netflix, where they also don't give, like, they don't tell people the actual ratings that they have. Just to keep it secret. Just, I don't know why. I mean, yeah, that whole Amy Schumer disaster was just, oh God, I hate it so much now that they changed that stupid thumbs up, thumbs down thing just because of her.
Well, it makes sense for them. I mean, as Netflix, do you want to have a series with your brand on it that says 1 star? When you're trying to get people to watch your stuff.
No, but I mean, that's what I mean. They make good stuff. No, seriously.
No, but Chris, that's too much to ask.
That was just one of those things where it's just like, because just recently there was here, I'll tell a little story and then we're going to end it, because this is...
Oh, yeah, we're at an hour now. But and we did go through everything about the book. So
yeah, but just a really quick anecdote about Netflix. I hate it because there's no in-between. There's no meh emotion. It's just either horrible or excellent. And this is really annoying because I love Atlantis. I love the whole thing about that. So when I got my Kindle for the first time, my Kindle Fire, I was looking through the Amazon video stuff and kind of looking if I could download some stuff. And there was this documentary about Atlantis. That's what it was called. It was called Atlantis, Treasures of the Deep. And I was like, awesome, I'm going to download this and watch it. So I start the first episode and it starts off someone in the Amazonian, like the Amazon. And it was just like about something completely different, some different kind of ruin, but it was still pretty cool. So I was like, oh, okay, so it's called Atlantis, Treasures of the Deep, but I guess it has nothing to do with Atlantis, at least not in the first episode. So there were 6 episodes. I watched all 5 episodes, and then on the 6th episode, it was about deep sea diving. Like, it was all about water and treasures of the deep. And I was like, oh, awesome, here comes the Atlantis stuff. It was off the French coast. It was about a French river, or like some French underwater, whatever, treasure hunter. They mentioned Atlantis once, and then it never happened up again. Like, and I don't know why they called it Atlantis Treasures of the Deep, because like it was like about Nandar Parbat, not Nandar Parbat, but like some sort of ancient forgotten city in Nepal somewhere. Some places in China, a place in South America, all these kinds of stuff. Nothing about Atlantis at all. And it popped up on Netflix. And I was like, oh, cool, an Atlantis thing. And it's been like 5 years or 3 years since I've seen it. So then I'm clicking on it and I'm like, oh shit, it's this thing. Thumbs down. I'm like, well, actually, it was a good show. I mean, it wasn't about Atlantis, but it was good. But I don't want to give it a thumbs up because it sucked, because it clickbaited me. So there's no meh. I would have given it 3 stars otherwise, but nah.
Honestly, as you said there, I like this one. I can't remember which game magazine it was, But they had a traffic light system.
Yes.
So, and it was perfect. What's called the green light, drive right ahead. It's great. You should play this game. Yellow light, cautious. You have to calm down. Like get ready. If you might like it, depends. But here's the caveats. Red, stop, don't.
Right, perfect.
And you're right. I think that's all you need, because like 10 out of 10, out of 10, I feel is just like way too much. Because why would you want anything below 5? Like once you're at 5 and below, it's like, well, does it really matter? I mean, do I really want to play this game because it's a 4 and not a 3?
Right.
So, and it's the same thing with like 5 out of 5, because once it's below 3, I feel like, really, what game that is 2 that's worth playing? Assuming
right.
that you just have totally different tastes. So, but whatever.
Yeah. So either way, no matter what, this comic is a thumbs down, 2 out of 5, and yeah, yellow light.
All right, green light, 5 out of 5, thumbs up. So, book of the year. It did win, quote unquote, award on the Comics Alliance. I remember when it came out. It had
first Valiant comic to hit 12,000 copies.
No, but it was more of a like, well, maybe it wasn't so much of an award, but it was more of like a honor of some sort, because they had like this whole thing for Halloween, like October.
It was an honorable mention.
No, it was something about
Valiant.
like some like the best horror comics of 2015, I think it would be.
Okay.
And they mentioned like, yeah, this is a bit different from the other things on the list. But honestly, reading through this whole Imperium, this has all the makings of like a horror comic, just with the, I guess the things like with Angela, for example, and just the visuals overall. It is a creepy setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, not that Comics Alliance really has any bearing, I guess. No offense to Comics Alliance. If it still exists, I think it's gone. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Well, that was the 54th episode of Hardcast, detailing Imperium Volume 1. You can discuss this episode on Reddit, tweet us, or you can follow us on Facebook. Links are in the show notes. Also, all of our episodes are available on our hosting site, Podbean. Catch us next time for our next episode discussing Quantum and Woody, Volume 4. Quantum and Woody must die.
Oh shit, I spoke too soon.
I was wondering if I was going to tell you when you said it, but no,
oh god. I didn't even realize that it was Quantum Woody next. Oh god, I need to put my money where my mouth is. Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, you heard the title, Chris. Quantum and Woody must die. So, I guess it's the end for the two.
It's not going to be, dude. You know this.
Wow, yes, because there's a new series coming out now? Alright.